Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Transportation and Logistics Podcast, powered by Atlanta Dispatch and Humblebee Enterprises. I am very excited to be here with a special guest. We have Jake Battles, who is the VP of Business Development for Repower. And before we begin, I just want to say that the Dispatcher's Guide to the Galaxy is available now as an ebook and as a physical book. You can acquire this bad boy online from any of the normal places that you would purchase your books. So that's barnesandnobles.com. That means your Amazons. That means Apple Books. Just just get that bad boy if you're interested in becoming a dispatcher. It definitely sets you out on the right track. Additionally, I wanted to say this as well. If you're going to be in a space, if you're going to be in a particular business or you're going to be in a particular industry, whatever it is, master it. All right. If you're going to be in that space, master that space. Become a subject matter expert. It's not going to happen overnight. It's definitely not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen if you decide in your daily habits, your daily decisions to, chase those moments that make you a little bit uncomfortable, because that means that you're growing. And I'm definitely talking to myself as well. But if you do that long enough, sooner sooner than you know, you're going to be just a beast in it. So that's what I charge everybody with here tonight, as well as myself, is if you're going to be in that space, master it, and some amazing things will come. And look, without further ado, we do have Jake, my guy. Jake, how are you feeling, brother?
I'm living the dream. Living the dream. Excited to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, we are excited to have you. And just to kick it off, like, what was the very first space you felt like you mastered? And it can be anything, brother, in life. It could be walking, it could be skipping rocks, career related activities, any of it. What do you feel like was the first space that you mastered?
I would have to say just probably talking to strangers. When I was a very small child, my parents used to drag me to estate sales and auctions back before eBay existed. And from the time that I was 3 and 4 years old, I would just sit down and start talking to people, whether they be 65-year-old ladies or the auctioneer or someone who was parking cars or something like that. I would just found it very easy to kind of strike up a conversation, find middle ground, common ground. And that has, I didn't ever think it would, when I was younger, I never thought that as really a money making skill. And probably to the people listening to this podcast and yourself, lo and behold, being able to speak to people effectively can turn into income. So I got lucky there, I guess, with the gift of gab.
Oh, no, that's amazing, and you're right. It can bring you a lot of opportunities. No matter what you do in life, you do have to communicate it effectively if you're trying to get that buy-in. If you're trying to make sales, you definitely have to be able to do that. So, oh no, that's awesome. Great answer, brother. Um, did you go to school for logistics, or how did you find your way into this current industry here?
So I actually went to school at a small college in Virginia called Lynchburg College. It's now called the University of Lynchburg for communication studies. So I studied public speaking and rhetoric, which not necessarily for logistics, but what I found out when I was in school was, a lot of people are taking these really tough business courses, accounting courses, economics courses, and to be frank, I really was trying to live when I was in college. I wanted to do student government. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to do Greek life. I wanted to do more things in school because before you get to college, everything is kind of predetermined. You have your school, you have your tests, and I wanted to experience things a little bit more. And so after talking to some advisors, I decided I wanted to focus on communication. But shortly after school, I sold life insurance, I sold investments. I got into the nightlife industry and the hospitality industry after that. And then what I found is that I really enjoyed solving problems. I enjoyed helping people solve problems. And it just so happened that when I moved to Chattanooga, I moved to start working for Covenant Transport from the Triad of North Carolina, and I started in the logistics department. I started helping people solve problems, and I became very passionate about solving problems. My wife calls it a little bit of Florence Nightingale syndrome, and I call it just being a compassionate salesperson. But um, so I worked for Covenant Transport for almost 10 years. I worked in the logistics brokerage department. I worked in the operations department. I worked in I helped build a fuel card program where we sold fuel cards. That program got acquired by the internal factoring company. I worked for that factoring company, led business development for them for a few years. Then that company got acquired by Triumph in 2020. And then I went to their internal leasing division called Transport Enterprise Leasing. Had a great time working there, learned a lot. I did fleet leasing for fleets to 500 trucks. I did trucks and trailers. And Repower was actually one of my customers as they were getting off the ground and getting started. And I pitched them. I was getting them into some equipment, and I just got really fascinated with the business model and about trying to improve the efficiency and the availability of idle assets. And they ended up offering me a position right at the turn of 2021 turning and 2022. And so I took the leap. I had a daughter. My first child was about 2 weeks old when they offered me the job, and I talked to my wife, and we just decided that it was never going to be any easier than it is today to start a new job and start a new career. And so I made the leap. It's been a wild ride. I've enjoyed every minute of it. You know, building the plane as we're flying it, so to speak. And so it's been a great journey. You know, a road full of turns, not necessarily a freeway with exit signs, if you know what I mean.
Well, hey, man, that is amazing. I'm happy that you were able to see the need of Repower, utilize some of that compassion that you had to try to streamline, fix, make more efficient some of those processes, and decided to go there. Congratulations on the baby girl. What's
Thank you.
that? She's about two and a half now.
She she is about 16 months old right now, and she
Oh, okay.
reminds me every day.
No, I love it, man. I actually just had my first as well. He turned six
Congratulations.
months. Thank you, thank you. 6 months on the 29th. So, it's I'm pretty sure we have some very lively households at this time.
I would agree with that. The timing of this podcast was right after bedtime, and I was like, perfect.
Well, look, also, man, look, how was Repower born? What was the need? What was the mindset of Patrick and them when they were putting this bad boy together?
So the founders are Patrick Vincentaner and Spencer Ware. They were actually high school friends, played baseball together in Birmingham, and went to school. Patrick went to Auburn. Spencer went to Ole Miss. They graduated, moved back to Birmingham, and Spencer was working in commercial insurance, specializing in transportation for McGriff. And Patrick was working for a large flatbed carrier in Birmingham, and I don't want to mess it up, so I will refrain from naming the carrier. I can't remember which one it was. I think he worked at a couple different ones, but the biggest thing that they saw was Spencer would be talking to these trucking companies about all this equipment they were insuring, and then it kept coming up. Well, I'm not using this. Can I drop this insurance on this piece of equipment? Or oh, I need to add this equipment to my fleet. My goodness, why is it going to be so much more to add this many trailers? And so he got that kind of started getting his wheels turning. And Patrick he worked in operations and worked as a fleet manager, and he kept seeing, he'd look out at their office and he'd see, man, we've got so many trailers just sitting here. Like, why shouldn't somebody be using these? And so they started kicking around some ideas, and they started just kind of talking to some of the flatbed carriers in Birmingham. I know one of the first people they talked to was Chris Cooper at Boyd Brothers, and just asked him and said, listen, like, is this an issue? Is asset utilization an issue? Is having the right pieces of equipment in the right place? Is this as big of an issue as it seems from the outside looking in? And Chris Cooper gave some really great advice to them about, yes, it is, and no one has really figured out how to fix this or to really even put a dent. It's just kind of a cost of doing business, and I'm sure some of the small business owners that are listening to this have had a trailer that either got dropped by an owner operator that left, or that got in an accident and they had to figure out how to go get that trailer. And there's not a lot of options to do that with equipment repositioning and asset utilization, especially for your smaller fleets. It can become a very expensive endeavor just to try to get your equipment back under a truck making money. And so Patrick and Spencer, they applied and got some grant money from Birmingham, and they quit their jobs and they just really started grinding it out. And uh, talked to another gentleman they had known from growing up named AJ Cheek, who at the time was a practicing attorney, graduated from the University of Georgia, left his he was working as an in-house counsel for a logistics company and left that job to join Repower. And I joined shortly after that, and we have just been pedal to the metal, really trying to streamline the process of accessing idle equipment, of pricing it, making sure it's priced fairly, making sure that we've building and collecting the data for different types of equipment at different locations around the country. And then we've last in 2020 into 2021 and all of 2022 until about Q4, equipment was very tight. And so trying to pitch this idea of a shared asset management network and a universal trailer pool and sharing equipment, this what I call the Airbnb meets U-Haul of the transportation space, was a little bit of a stretch, but we were able to gain traction because the big companies like Knight and Swift and U.S. Express and Covenant and Werner, if their trailers were out of balance in California, there was so much freight that people would they'd pay 15-20 bucks a day for a 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even a month use of this trailer, and they could get 4 or 5 loads on it, and then drop the trailer off in Atlanta or Chattanooga or what have you. And we started seeing a lot of traction there, and so we've continued to expand and grow that. And repower.com today has over 1,200 pieces of equipment, from flatbeds, dry vans, and reefer units that are available anywhere from 21 days, some of them all the way up to multi-year leases. And so we've just really helped streamline that access to equipment that someone may need, without the long-term commitments of a financing option or a lease agreement.
Okay, nice. Yeah, well said, brother. I definitely saw how that ideation came to be and why it's necessary in the industry now. Would you say that one of the selling points for Repower is the number of assets that's on the platform, or would you, more lean to the platform itself? Niche spaces in transportation is drayage, and
Mm-hmm.
to even be a part of that bad boy, you have to have an endorsement on your insurance, the UIIE1 endorsement, and that's the only way that you can actually register with the UIIA, which is the only way that you can get access to the chassis and things to move anything. Is it as formal as that when you say that they have to get the interchange coverage on their insurance, or is that like a very seamless process?
Typically, it's a very seamless process. You would I'm not familiar with the UIA endorsement, and I would be very interested to learn more about that offline as Repower starts growing in the chassis space, because that's information that I do not know a lot about, Jory. So thanks for bringing that up. We'll talk about that later. But typically, most fleets have either trailer interchange or non-owned trailer coverage, especially if they're running power only.
Right.
It's a very cost effective rider. I mean, I believe it can be as low as maybe $100 a month or even less. And typically, you just call your broker. If it's Progressive's kind of default is 40,000, and they'll add it. It's pretty simple. Or Repower also offers what we call usage-based insurance coverage, where we have a partner with through Reliance Partners and Centerline Insurance that you can pay by the day. So if you don't have that endorsement, and you don't really want to add it, and you're only going to use this trailer for a few weeks, you can select usage based insurance at checkout, and just like a rental car, it'll just tack it on, and you don't have to submit anything. You can just go get the trailer. And so that ranges at about $8 a day for 40,000 of interchange coverage, and that policy has $1,000 deductible. It covers fire, tornadoes, dragons.
Uh,
It's a very robust product that we're also very proud of.
how long is the onboard process for somebody who needs to rent some equipment? We just talked about what the process is, but from start to finish, if somebody were able to identify exactly what they want, how long before they're actually booking it if there's no delay on the asset owner?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, that
You
seems
once you go to repower.com, select sign up, you input your DOT number. After you create a username, password, um, add your DOT number. Boom! It'll ask you to confirm the address. We pull everything from SaferWatch. It'll give you the option to connect an ELD through Trucker Cloud, which if you want to connect your ELD, Repower will send you trailers that are close to you, which is also very neat. But you don't have to do that; that's optional. We encourage you to. It just helps us make sure to keep you in a box. But um, and then at that point you're browsing, you're shopping. You find something that you like, you click it, just roll through the UI, click your pickup date, start date, end date, and if the owner is watching it, which most of them do pretty quickly, you can have an approval within literally 5 minutes. Realistically, most of the time it's about 7 to 8 minutes, but I'm trying to best case scenario here, but five
right, right.
minutes,
That's
yeah,
what we asked for, the best case.
yeah, but 5 minutes, and you're ready to go. If you select UBI and you don't have to wait on your insurance provider, I mean, you could be sitting outside of a facility, go in, reserve it, go in and pick it up and be out of there. As
Got
the longest part of that process is going to be your pre-trip.
Right, right, right. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Now, are is the platform today, is
Mhm.
it servicing anything beyond trailers?
Not yet. Well, I shouldn't say that. So we have the ability to list box trucks. We have the ability to list sprinter vans. We have the ability to list tractors. Um, but 99.9% of our business is trailers. We have worked with a truck OEM that we have built them a white label product for their dealership network, and so they use the Repower foundation and the Repower product to manage some of their marketing of their leased tractors. It's McMahon out of Charlotte, and they do Mack and Volvo trucks. So if you go to, I believe McMahon Leasing, you can go and rent a truck the same way, and the user interface is going to be the same as it would be for renting a trailer on our default platform.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, nice, nice, nice. And what about the onboard from the perspective of an asset owner? How long does that take? Because it's a lot more that goes into that. Walk through that process. As
Sure.
yeah,
So I onboarded a new asset owner today. Talked to them about a project they're doing. They're trying to move some equipment from St. Louis down to South Florida. We talked about the project, talked about how it works. They were like, "Yep, sign me up." So I created them an account, invited the two people I was on the phone with. Um, Basically, just said, "Hey, you're invited. Here you go." And as soon as they send an asset list to my operations team, we can get the assets uploaded. We can get the addresses uploaded. So if you want Repower to do it, you don't really have the bandwidth. You're very busy. You see this as a need. My ops team will help you, but it took less than 10 minutes to get them onboarded. We're just waiting on the list of the equipment and the destinations for where it needs to go. So if you wanted to do it all yourself as an asset owner, you create your account. The website will prompt you: are you here to rent or are you here to supply? If you click supply, it's going to ask you to connect your bank account information so you can get paid. You'll work through Stripe, which is our payment processor. You fill out some questions for them. Basically your standard remit info, routing number, bank account, address, things like that. That's the longest process, is literally getting connected through Stripe to receive payments. But other than that, the website will walk you through a tutorial of how to list your locations, list your assets. And I would say 15 minutes compared to the 5 for the renter.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Are there any incentives for the asset owners to put larger amounts of units onto the platform?
The incentives, not today. Typically, what I will tell you is the way that our fee structure is set up is if the rental equipment goes out for longer than 90 days, so, not just some short term moves, but longer than 90 days, the asset owners get a significantly larger piece of the revenue share. So I'm hesitant to share what the revenue share is because it could change, and I would hate for someone to hear this 6 months down the road and be like, "Well, I heard Jake talking
Yeah,
on a
yeah, yeah.
podcast
No,
about it
yeah,
being
no
this,"
doubt, brother.
but
I
but
hear you.
but no, it's very so that's the biggest incentive is leaving your equipment out longer, making that more of that residual income on assets you're already paying for. That would be the biggest incentive, and then as well as we have a pricing matrix that can help you determine, what the average daily rate is based on the location of your equipment. And so that's currently being built into the product today. Uh, in the very near future, you can go in and say, "Hey, I've got this type of asset in this location. I want to let it go for this long," and the product will spit out what the average rate is, or what the higher side of the rate is, or the lower side of the rate, and it will
Okay.
help you. It will help you determine what you can earn for that piece of equipment without necessarily having to list it and just kind of play the spot market, if you will.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, no, that's nice to have. Some type of rating system, some type of pricing system that gives some assistance because who knows the spot market on how to rent out some equipment. That's different. So I like hearing about that. The pricing matrix. Okay, cool, cool, cool. What are some of the what type of returns are your customers seeing after they place a piece of equipment onto the platform?
Well, the returns kind of depend on their cost, right? So, but what I can tell you is in today's market of, April 19th, 2023, dry vans that are in the 2020 to 2022, 23, asset owners are seeing between anywhere from 650 to $800 on those trailers per month. And then, from 2019 to 2016, you're looking at anywhere from 700 to 600. And then older than 2016 gets down to about $500 a month for the asset owner. And so if you have a piece of equipment that you didn't buy over the last 3 years that you've had for a while, and you don't really want to sell it because the replacement cost is so high, but you don't really need it right now. You know, I don't know anybody who couldn't use an extra $500 a month while knowing that piece of equipment is insured, and also knowing that as an asset owner, when someone asks to lease or rent that piece of equipment, you see it and you can approve it or deny it. You'll see their DOT number. You can check it against, Safer. You can check it on Carrier 411. You can see how many inspections they've had. And if you don't like it, you can just deny it. Repower, when they select to reserve that piece of equipment, the funds are held on their card at the time of reservation. If you accept that reservation, those funds are transferred out of their account and it goes to Repower, and we hold it. And then at the end of the month, we'll send you a remittance for everything that you've rented. We can also set it up where those funds get transferred the next day. That's kind of up to you, right? Some small fleets want that money immediately. Larger fleets like one clean invoice that they can mark paid all at once. We can be flexible there. But if you don't like the carrier, they don't really jive with what you're trying to do, you just decline it and Repower, and they can look and try to get a trailer from somebody else. It's not a difficult process, but it does give you the control to run your business how you see fit.
Gotcha, gotcha. And staying there for just a second, when it comes to those asset owners, are there any other metrics that allow you to measure the success of your services? For those folks.
Absolutely. We have a very robust analytics page on your account that shows you the states that are earning you the most revenue, the states on the system that are earning the most revenue, the amount of renters you've connected with, the amount of trailers that you've leased, your average daily rental rate. We also give you some metrics on if you've had a piece of equipment or multiple pieces of equipment listed in certain areas. It'll show you how many times people have clicked on it, how many have been reserved out of that area. And, if you can see that a lot of people have clicked on it, but they haven't reserved, it means they have an interest, but price is probably a concern. So then there's some feedback of, hey, this piece of equipment has been listed for 2 weeks. It has 27 views and no reservations. Maybe we ought to look at lowering the price. And so you will get some feedback from the system. And then also, our operations team is here to help you succeed. So, myself, if you're having questions about markets, about types of equipment, on the supplier side, I'm here to help guide you. And then Lauren Gibbons, my VP of operations, she runs a tight ship. She can tell you, you know, what rates do well, what carriers, we're looking for certain types of equipment. And because Repower works with about, I think, 12 of the top 25 fleets, Knight, Swift, Schneider, U.S. Express, Werner. If you need a piece of equipment and it's not necessarily listed, you can reach out to us and we can ask for it. And, we have visibility to over 100,000 pieces of equipment today. If it's been idle, we can probably find you one. At least if it's not within 10 miles, it may be within 50 miles or something like that. And so we exist to try to help make sure that you're moving and generating revenue, even if that piece of equipment isn't listed. We can definitely go to bat and help you find something that you need.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. What do you guys is what are your top markets right now for the dry vans?
Texas is very big for us right now. Georgia's big. The Mid Atlantic is very strong. The Carolinas, Ohio is big for us. Oddly enough, Minnesota's strong. We rent very quickly out of Minnesota. Basically, east of Dallas, or basically just east of Texas, is very robust for us. The Northeast moves pretty quick. In terms for the asset owner. In terms of the renter, if someone's looking for some flexible equipment, I have a lot in South Florida. I've got a pretty substantial amount. I've got some in Alabama. Chattanooga, just being where I work out of and where we have a lot of contacts, I have a lot of equipment and dry vans, anywhere from pretty budget friendly 2013s to some pretty new and strong 2022s and 23s. And then I have some suppliers that have equipment over the country that are available for up to 6 months. And the supplier, the trucking company, will actually cover tires and brakes during the course of that reservation, provided that you do the inspection forms at pickup and you notate any damages. You can run that trailer for an all-in rate, including brakes and tires, for a flat rate, which is stunning. It's we have put out over 100 of their trailers, and we've just had the best feedback. They give a 1-800 24/7 breakdown line that's managed out of Ohio. I had a renter that picked up one of these trailers in Atlanta, got a blowout on his way home, and they had a roadside there within an hour, and his tire changed, and he was on his way.
That's awesome. Are you saying that's with a particular uh, customer of yours, or is that with?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a particular one, but we tell you, you know, we're happy to answer a phone call. If you go on this platform, I don't want you to think that you can't call us. We have an operations team. We're happy to talk to you and talk to you about different options in a certain area. If you're looking for a reefer, we have some reefer suppliers that cover reefer breakdown. If your reefer unit goes down while you're renting this trailer for 6 months, they'll cover that. They may ask you to cover tires and brakes and running gear and things like that, but they'll cover the reefer unit because they understand that you haven't maintained this trailer. You haven't had this trailer for the last 2 years. You don't know the service records. And if you're going to rent it from them and you're paying them money, they want to make sure you have a good experience. We have some of those. We have some that don't do that. Maybe they're newer pieces of equipment. They've got less than 5,000 hours. They haven't even had their first service yet, so forth and so on. And the same on the dry van space. We have some dry van suppliers that will cover maintenance. We have some that'll do, they'll fix a tire if it's flat spotted when you pick it up. But once you take it, maintenance would be on you. And that's the kind of flexibility we give to the asset owners to kind of determine how they want to manage their rental program. We're not an out of the box solution. We can be very flexible with what makes you comfortable. And that's what our team is out to do, is to try to help you find the right piece of equipment for the right term and the right budget. And that's kind of what the platform is set out to help facilitate. But our operations team is very committed to making sure that you have a good experience on either side of the marketplace.
Right, right. Okay, nice. You touched on something that now is very interesting. You said that you have some customers who are in the reefer trailer space, and
Mm-hmm.
because they understand a particular renter has not maintained that trailer for the last 2 years, they don't know the exact condition that it could be in. So, how do you ensure that your trailers that you're putting on the platform are in good conditions before they're made available to rent?
Absolutely. So, a couple things that we do is we ask for the most recent DOT, and we provide that on. We keep that on record so that when you get that trailer, we'll send you a copy so you can either print it out or keep it on your phone if you were to get stopped. We ask that they have at least 50% better on tires and brakes, and we can grade the trailers. But typically, what we ask for on reefers is that we need to know the last reefer service when it's been done. We need a receipt of that to hold, because we don't want to put a reefer unit on rent that's been sitting for 6 months and it's out of Freon, and it's going to be a problem. And, like any business, we've learned that the hard way. I'm just going to be very honest. When trailers were hard to come by, we got some, we sent them out, and we've had to learn that, nobody makes money when they're stuck on the side of the road, or with a potential reefer claim and things like that. And so we've improved our processes for vetting the equipment. And so, those are some of the things that we do. But also, if we don't know, say, say an asset owner goes, Jory, you want to go put a reefer on there, and you don't really talk to me. You heard this podcast, you thought it was great, you went on there and did it, and we weren't able to get that information from you. If someone asks to rent it and it's not somebody that I'm familiar with, I will reach out to you and I'll say, hey, you have somebody who's interested in this. Can you provide me this documentation? And if you can't provide it to me, then I will tell the renter, and they may decide they want to cancel, or they may say, can you get it? Can you get this stuff done for me in the next 2 or 3 days? I'm not going to be there to get it. And so we facilitate some of those conversations, right? It's like I said, it's not an out of the box. We're very, customer service focused. So the larger fleets, that's what we do for the reefer maintenance and most recent DOT. But for independent owner fleets and smaller fleets that we may not have had a chance to reach out and talk to you yet, we'll have that conversation.
So look, once a renter actually has possession and they have it for the long haul, they say, I want this bad boy for 6 months. How do you ensure that they're doing what they need to do to maintain the equipment while it's in their possession? And I'll even season this with this statement. As a dispatcher, I've seen drivers who go pick up loads and can't slide the tandems,
Oh
and
yeah.
things of that nature. How do you what do you do to kind of combat that type of stuff?
So if it is a defect on the trailer, right, that is not, someone didn't smack a curb at 50 miles an hour, or whatever have you, on driver error, then we'll look to replace that trailer. If it's something where the tandem slide, that would be a very unfortunate situation if they've already inspected the trailer, they've left with it, they've run a couple loads, and then they get to a position where they need to slide the tandems and they don't slide. So what typically happens at this point is we will reach the renter will reach out to Repower, tell us the situation, and we'll reach out to the supplier and say, hey, you know, this has happened. How would you like to handle it? And a lot of suppliers will say, go to Love's, go here, go there, get it fixed, send us a receipt, and we'll cover it, because that's not something that, if it's something very simple like that, needs grease, something like that, it won't be a big deal. And then, just to be very frank, right? Like in the market that we're in now, we have to be cognizant of bad actors, right? Like we don't want our suppliers to have somebody who rents a trailer for 3 months and then comes and says, "Oh, well, the brakes are bad." At that point, depending on the supplier, that may come down to the renter. At that point, the supplier can't control how the person's been riding the brakes, going up and down the Rockies for the last 3 months, and so that's just a conversation that we have on a daily basis, and it's kind of a case by case situation. But what we're finding, which I think is surprising and very, it's exciting for us, is that our large fleets want these renters to have a good experience. They want to take care of them. They want to make sure that the equipment is in good working condition, right? They don't want to send out a trailer for 6 months and it come back and, oh, now it needs all new tires, needs all new brakes, tandems won't slide. And so that's part of the reason why they want to know about these issues, and they want to make sure that they're rectified one way or another. One way be that, hey, go get this fixed. I know you're under a load. We'll take care of it. The other may be, hey, you're not under a load. We've got another trailer en route to your destination. Just drop that one off at our shop. We'll get it fixed. Pick this one up. We'll update your reservation. You go on about your way. So, with logistics, everybody knows that, it's not necessarily Murphy's Law, but if you think you're going to have a good day, you can't even say that out loud. So, and again, our operations team is here to help. Our suppliers are here to help. We all want to make sure that this ecosystem is fair. And so, I guess the short answer of that is it's case by case, but we're looking to work on more ways to make that an even better standardized process.
Are you at liberty to talk about any very, very, very crazy situations that have taken place, like any crazy accidents, any weird examples of things going the way of Murphy's law?
I mean, yeah, I've got one that happened in Colorado with a supplier. Um, a renter picked up a truck, or excuse me, picked up a trailer. About 2 weeks after he had it, something was going on. He pulled over on the side of a exit ramp and was inspecting the trailer, and another truck came by and completely sideswiped the trailer, ripped the entire side off. I think it was a load of toilet paper. Toilet paper flew everywhere, and it was the pictures were, I mean, amazing. It looked like someone had opened a can of tuna. It was just so perfect the way that the aluminum peeled back. But you know, the asset owner was able to get paid for the trailer that got damaged. The both persons stopped. They exchanged information. Insurance took care of it, and the asset owner was able to get the renter another trailer within 24 hours. They sent him a location. The guy bobtailed to that location, got another trailer, and kept hauling, kept trucking, and then they let the insurance sort it out. So that was a great example. Um, you know, we have another product that we use called the Digital Asset Exchange, which I think is a really valuable option for dispatchers. And what that does is it would allow you as a dispatcher to book on behalf of your carrier partner. Is that you can go to Repower as a dispatcher, and we can set your account up this way where you can book on behalf of. You can charge a little bit of a premium, and make some money on this by helping your carrier and your driver get a trailer. But basically, the interchange agreement is executed by the MC and DOT that is going to be pulling the trailer and the owner of that equipment. But you can act like a booking agent and go find it for them, which we're really excited about because if carriers who need equipment and I have equipment that needs to move or needs to be rented, we want you to have the tools to be able to execute that, and we want to make sure that all the parties are involved, that everybody knows who's actually hauling the trailer, that chain of custody management is clear, and then also for third party logistics providers, you can go on our platform and you can rent trailers for a trailer pool project. Say you need trailers for 90 days, storage or maybe shuttle moves. You can rent this equipment, and we have a technology that will allow you to turn around and assign those trailers out to your carriers. So you can rent them, you maintain control, you have your rate, and then you can turn around to the power only carriers and assign them a trailer the way you would assign them a load. It's called the private sharing functionality. You assign them that trailer for, say, you give them 7 days to go deliver a load and bring it back, and then they check it in and check it out. And so you can maintain a trailer pool that you do not own, and you can assign them out. And so that technology we're really excited about. I know from my time working in the logistics division of Covenant, trying to maintain trailer pools was just a nightmare. It's hard to do. And by having this product and this platform to be able to help keep that organized, we really are very bullish on this technology getting traction with some large 3PLs, and we have some now that utilize it and love it. Being able to assign that trailer, identify chain of custody, identify liability, know exactly who's going to have it at which point. You know, that is how a broker wants it to be, because they don't want to hold all the liability for a trailer that they're not pulling. And so our software has found a way to process that and to organize it. And so those are two things that we're really excited about that we've rolled out so far in 2023.
Yes, sir. When you don't have to hold liability, you definitely want to pass it over to the person who is responsible, and you guys making that seamless is pretty dope. Okay, look, on average, what's the facility like where people are getting these trailers? Like, where are these trailers being, garaged before a renter goes to pick them up?
I mean, honestly, I think our top pickup locations last year were FedEx, XPO, and Walmart facilities. And we all know this, as these are the customers who require these giant trailer pools. If you want to haul FedEx, they may ask you to keep 20 trailers in there, and they may only use five, and you've got 15 assets that you're paying for that aren't doing anything. And so, you know, that's the main locations. But a lot of times, most of the time, these are at shippers or they're at carrier terminals. And so, You may show up to a carrier's terminal. You'll say, hey, I've got a repower reservation. Here's my RRID number. Here's the trailer number I was assigned. Or if you weren't assigned one and you get to go and pick the one you want, they'll tell you where to go. We have a solid operations process with our suppliers that when they get notified that there's a reservation and they accept that reservation, it is their responsibility to go and identify that terminal or that location that somebody outside of their organization is going to be coming and picking up this trailer. And our product has a very detailed email process that gives you all the information you need. It'll give you the pickup address, the delivery address, who you're picking up for, the reservation ID number, and if there is a trailer number, then you show that to the person when you check in. It's all right there. And then if they have a question or you have an issue, then you call Repower. We get it sorted out and we get you on your way. But most of the time, these are at shippers or at terminal locations.
When it comes to the actual trailers, you want to keep visibility on things. I mean, on top of manufacturers and the customers of the brokers wanting visibility every second, I mean, I'd imagine you'd want that kind of stuff on the trailers as well. So, is that, are the tracking mechanisms to be provided by the asset owners, or is that something that you guys assist with?
So it really depends on the different type of asset owner. Most of our asset owners that are the large enterprise fleets provide repower telematics access to be able to see, if Schneider, for example, has 10 trailers they've put up for rent out of a location in Memphis, and we know that you're going to get one. We have access to be able to say, hey, we can look on there and say, hey, these are the ones that are available. We can see that they're not loaded, and we can send you a list of 8 different trailer numbers to pick from, and you pick. So that is very integral to our cadence of making this as seamless as possible as compared to if someone puts equipment on repower and doesn't provide us telematics. They may have them, they just don't want to share them. If somebody shows up to pick up a trailer and it's not there or something's wrong with it, or then it goes to the age old communication of an email here, an email here, a phone call here, a phone call there. And so we really lean on the telematics access to be able to expedite this process because as I've mentioned before, we want to make sure the renters have a good experience. We don't want them doing a trailer hunt. We don't want them running around from place to place. We want to make sure that those trailers are there. We know they're there. And then also that in the event that a trailer gets returned, and it may get returned in just a lot across the street, but it didn't get checked in right, we want to make sure that we can see and identify that with the asset owner to make sure, hey, yes, it's here, it got dropped off, they did an inspection for them, but it's at a lot across the street and things like that. And then you know so if you are thinking about putting your equipment on repower, I would highly suggest that you create repower sub account on your telematics, and help us integrate. Right now, currently, we have, I think, over 20 integrations, like with Samsara. I know we're working on a Skybits integration right now. We're working with Orbcom. We're working with a few of the other large telematics providers that will integrate directly into the product. And so, on the roadmap, something I'm particularly excited about is a smart tracking feature that if you've ever gone to Airbnb or rented a condo or a house, and when it's your time to check in, they give you a code, and that's a code to the lock. We're building tech in the product right now that under your reservation, we will be able to pipe in the telematics. So if you're renting a trailer from Schneider, you're renting a trailer from U.S. Express, you're renting a trailer from Covenant or whomever, you can go to repower.com while you're under that reservation and track that trailer. And you'll be able to see it. And then when that reservation's over, that visibility goes away. And so I'm really excited about that because that means that if you're renting from 6 different asset owners with 6 different types of tracking, you don't have to log into 6 different tabs to figure out where your equipment is. You just go to your homepage on your Repower site, go into your reservations tab, and you can see where all of your trailers are, regardless of what they say on the site and regardless of what the tracking mechanism is. And we're really excited about that.
I know larger fleets, they do make it their normal, everyday, run of the mill, routine business to install tracking. That's what they do. They got to. They got so many assets that it helps them more than it's really helping y'all. It's helping them, and
Right.
Repower is benefiting from it. Now, there are smaller fleet owners, people who they're not the Schneiders of the world, but they might have five or six truck. I mean, well, we say trucks, but also five or six trailers. Just the business model that you guys have, and I'm pretty sure that you're getting the attention of everybody you really need to get the attention of. I think that might be a good partnership to have with some type of tracking provider, and
Absolutely.
you know what I mean, and just have them be able to uh, put it in such a way that those small fleet owners see that value as well. And I'm just
That
saying it because at the end of the day, tracking helps you guys.
it helps. It definitely helps us, but it helps. We want to make it a situation where it helps the renter because they can know where the trailers are. Like if you're a dispatcher and we're talking about that you're dispatching for a couple different, authorities. You've got many drivers and if you're booking trailers on behalf of them, having access to their trailer tracking, you know where they are, if you're trying like, okay, they're getting ready to deliver here. I know I can tell without doing a check call, right? I can tell that they're 20 miles out. This load's going to take 2 hours to unload on a good day if it's a live unload. And then I know it gives you the data as well. And so yes, but I agree. Actually, it's been on my radar to talk to some of these telematics providers. I would love to do a small fleet referral program that, hey, like personally, I like Samsara. I think Samsara is user interface is the easiest. It integrates very well with our product. It's very easy to see. It's very easy to use. I would love to set up something with a Samsara or an Orbcom that had a very cost-effective, telematics that to be able to offer small fleet owners that want to say, hey, I've only got 5 trailers. I'm not using 2 of them, but I don't use tracking. Like I know where my trailers are, and if I'm going to give them to you, I want them to have tracking. I think you're really onto something there. I would love to be able to. So if anybody's listening that has a connection or
Right.
like,
There we are.
please reach out to me because I'd love to put together a program there.
That's what I'm
Um,
talking about, man. Put that thing out there so that the powers that be, we can get the energy heading that way. So yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get to, and the reason why I'm also bringing that up is because equipment abandonment is a real thing. What happens if something is abandoned?
So a large part of our business, believe it or not, is recovering abandoned equipment, right? So, and this is a strong challenge for owner operator heavy fleets, right? Asset light fleets where an independent contractor driver is just unhappy or they just drop a trailer and they just leave it there. And how are you going to go get that trailer? A big part of our business is you call Repower and you say, hey, I've got a trailer in this location. I need it to come home. And Repower gives you an avenue to where you can generate revenue by bringing that trailer home. And been a big value add to some of our owner operator heavy fleets is, you don't have to really expel a lot of effort. You don't have to pay people. You don't have to really track it down. The only issue is if it gets towed, then that becomes a whole nother situation, right? But in the scheme of things, if you know that a trailer's been abandoned or a driver has quit and you let Repower know, we can tell you based on where that trailer is, based on our data, like, well, historically, if it's priced in this range and they can have it for 30 days and they can bring it back to this spot and it's at this spot, data says that we'll get it reserved in 48 hours. You'll generate $15 a day on that trailer and it'll be back by 30 days from now and you've made $450, right? And so if I can tell you that by the data that we have, that reduces a lot of stress, right? And you're like, okay, well, I may not have that trailer back in for 30 days, but I didn't spend any money to go get it. So, and in the meantime, if you need a trailer, Repower has the other side of the coin too, where you could rent a trailer for 30 days while that one's coming home. And so the goal is that there's enough capacity out there that if you're in that type of situation, it doesn't have to interrupt your business in a way that's going to negatively affect your cash flow. The ideal situation there is I'm going to generate you $450 in reservation revenue. Can you go out and get another trailer and not disrupt your operation for $450? And it's a net zero, and you just keep running, right? That's the dream, is that we have equipment that can make that happen for people.
Right. Okay. And look, I'm about to ask you a question that's probably in the weeds, but maybe it's
Sure.
not. is to put the equipment on your platform. Does the person have to own the equipment?
It really just depends on your lease agreement, right? The short answer is no. The long answer is it's up to the asset owner if they will allow you to sublet it. I have some leasing companies that I do business with that don't necessarily mind as long as that they have a certificate listing them as lost payee and additional insured. If you're using Repower to move some idle lease equipment and it's helping you cover your lease payment and they're okay with it based on our product and the way we do business, then we do that. I do it with various different leasing companies. And then there are some leasing companies that have a strict no sublet clause. And so it really is a case by case scenario. And I'm not going to publicly say which ones I know that will allow you and which ones that won't, because again, I don't know how this will age. But in the event that you have some lease equipment that you're not able to return and that you're looking for an option to cover that lease note, reach out to me. I'll be happy to explore that with you and tell you any information that I have. And if it's a situation where it's a leasing company that doesn't know about us, doesn't know what we do, and they could be open to it, I'm happy to have a conversation with us both and say, look, this is how it works. Here's our process. Here's where the certificates are done. Here's where the agreements live. If you want to, if the leasing company wants to alter the rental agreement or wants to do some things to make their legal team feel better and their liability team feel better, we're happy to oblige with that. So yes, it can be done. It just depends on how the asset owner feels about it.
Right. I think if people are listening to this and they want to take advantage, I think the term you might want to bring up to the leasing company is the arbitrage agreement. So I think that's what that situation really calls for. That type of clause where they are okay with somebody who's leasing to sublet or sublease it to someone else.
And
Um,
the term sublet I use very loosely because what you're really doing
yeah.
is interchanging this trailer out to someone else, right? You're not subletting it. You're not putting it out. You're not going to a leasing company and leasing 20 trailers to turn around and then try to make profit on, right? You're not doing that. And if you did want to do that, if the leasing company is okay with it, you could do that, right? The same way that people go out and lease cars and put them on Turo, depending on the financial institution, if they're okay with it, they're okay with it. Again, that's a case by case, but in most of the time that what we're talking about here generally is someone has lease equipment and they want to keep it, they can't use it right now. Freight's tight, drivers are tight. They want to put it out for 90 days as they're trying to either wait for new trucks to come in. They've had to sell their other trucks off because they're waiting on these, or you know they've just got idle trailers and they want to put them out for 90 days and just let them generate some revenue so they're not basically sitting there bleeding lease income. That's typically the way that these work. And, I'm happy to sit down and talk to any leasing company that may be listening or anybody who has leased trailers and wants to explore it, because the way that the process works, the way it's clearly defined of who owns the equipment, who's leasing it, who's renting it, and the insurance that flows the chain of custody, it just makes sense. And I'm very passionate about helping asset owners understand the benefits.
Look, we're getting to the end of this bad boy, but I would be remiss if I did not congratulate you and congratulate the team on this recent round of investments. You guys just took in 8 mil, a cool 8
It's a
mil.
cool
So,
8 mil.
so people are definitely believing in the product and they see the vision. Do you guys have? Any immediate ways that you plan to leverage that influx of capital?
I think our immediate plans are to, continue to invest in the product and expand it to be more robust, just like we were talking about, with more functionality for different types of equipment. We want to continue to invest in the product to make sure that it's easier to use on both sides of the equation. We're not planning on going on a big hiring spree. We're not just going to throw people at it. We're going to be very strategic with the investment. The goal is to create a universal trailer network where people who need equipment can get it. And so, one thing that we are doing is that we're increasing our marketing efforts, because to this point, we grew our revenue over 400x, excuse me, not 400x, 400% from January of 2022 to January of 2023. And we're going to be very focused on continuing that trend. So we're ramping up some marketing efforts to be able to reach more renters, more carriers. Right? We have equipment. We want to make sure we have the right equipment for those who need it. And if we have equipment requests on the website, if you're seeing that you're not seeing what you need where you need it, request it. Like I talked about earlier, we have a very wide net of people to reach out to see if we can get you what you need. And so that's going to be the biggest things, are product and marketing. And so, you know, not to say that, I was excited about coming on this podcast. We set this up a few weeks ago, if not months ago. So it just so happened to coincide right with our fundraise. But we're super excited for our investors, our strategic investors. We've got, like I said, Crowley and NFI, Up Partners. They're look at their portfolio. They're doing some very futuristic things. Coke Disruptive Technologies, Plug and Play. You know, and not to mention, not just our capital investors, but the suppliers, the Schneiders of the world, U.S. Express, Covenant Transport, Covenant Logistics Group. CRST has been a big believer in us. Knight and Swift, Werner. Forward Air has been great with us, and we it's just a very exciting time when, as a salesperson, you sell the idea and now the idea makes sense to people. And now it's just honing in on that idea and honing in on the product to really deliver the best experience. And so I'm open to take any questions. My email is jake@repower.com, REPOWR. If you've heard anything that you like and you want to explore it, like I said, create an account. It's free. Email me, reach out to my ops team. I'm happy to spitball. I'm happy to throw around ideas, use cases for anything that you've heard or that you may be interested in. And then, Jory, like I said, I would love to talk more offline about your experience in the intermodal space and how we can leverage your knowledge and the knowledge of your peers to help build Repower into a product that can really that can help drive efficiencies in that arena as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, before we go, I love the fact that it's NFI, that's a part of that group, because it seems like they're investing in a lot of places, So kudos to them for recognizing some good opportunities. I did just read that, they got about 7 more fulfillment centers across US and Canada. So it looks like they're definitely making some solid investments this year. We did have somebody that raised their hand. I'm going to bring this brother up to see if he has a question. And while we're doing that, I did want to say that tonight there were 5 questions that were generated by using Chat GPT. I entered in the prompts questions that you can ask a trailer sharing program owner about the upkeep of their equipment, and questions you could ask a business development manager to validate whether their services are needed for your business. And the reason why I wanted to share this is because AI is here, y'all, and most people tend to shy away from things that they might not understand. And I'm kind of talking about myself in certain ways. But the future is going to be shaped by people who leverage and really harness everything that's happening today, not acting like it don't exist. So 5 of the questions that I asked tonight were from AI, and I thought it was pretty cool. People are using AI to write complete scripts of everything, from podcasts to movies to TV shows to everything. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I think I'm gonna see how I can leverage this a little bit more in the future. Um, but look, we were joined by uh, Fat John. What's up, Fat John? How you doing?
Hello, Jory. Hello, Jake. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for giving the opportunity of taking part on this conversation.
Yes, sir. How can look, man? Thank you so much for coming up on stage. What's your question, my guy?
I was curious about what is repower, and like, do you all of you all of you guys live in America? What are you doing about like logistics? What is going on with logistics in America? I don't have too many information because we actually run a group company in Turkey, Macedonia, and Italy regarding logistics and via road and intermodal. Moreover, so I want to know like a little bit more about logistics and the situation there in USA. So
Oh,
if you
gotcha.
if you give me like 3 or 5 sentences, comments, I'll be glad. Thank you.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. This discussion right here about repower, we've been on this bad boy for about an hour, and I am gonna post this bad boy on my website, transportationandlogistics.club. And once you go to that website, you'll see that I have discussions about American logistics
Okay,
every single week.
that's great.
I'm talking about
That's
I'm
great.
talking about all types of stuff, brother. So
Hmm.
I definitely want you to know that I would not be able to do that question justice in 3 to 5 sentences, but I am appreciative of you coming up to ask the question and to introduce yourself. And, let's talk some more in the future, okay?
Yeah, that will be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we were also joined by my shawty. What's up, Danny? I haven't seen you in forever.
Hey Dory, yeah, I've been working, keeping my head down, but I'm gonna connect with you, of course, after this. But yeah, I got a question for Jake. So it's funny how I found out about Repower. I want to say about 8 months ago, and it actually was on the load board, and a broker, um, I guess brokered out the fact that he was utilizing you guys' platform and actually charged me extra after I had already signed the contract for utilizing the trailer. So I
Hmm.
was wondering if that actually, are you guys allowing brokers to use their DOT number, right, to sign up and broker out the use of your trailers, or did that broker just seeming to kind of skate by? And if so, what are you guys doing to mitigate that risk if it's not something that you guys allow?
So, Danny, that's an excellent question. We saw that becoming an issue with some of our renters, where either they were dispatch companies and or brokers that were renting the trailer and then charging a premium on top of it that a the asset owner wasn't getting their share, right, and b it wasn't providing the chain of custody that we needed. And so we have put some steps in place to reduce that. And then some of the things I talked about earlier, I don't know if you heard, was the options that if a broker wants to use the platform, we're all for that, but they need to either they can rent the trailers and they commit to them, and if they want to go and charge extra, that's on them, but they're responsible for the pickup and delivery date. Or b, if they want to broker it, they can do the book on behalf of. So they could basically find the trailer and repower and assign it to you, but their fee is capped. They can't just go and say, I'm going to find a $300 trailer and I'm going to charge somebody $600. We're not going to let them double their money on this. That's something that we and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something we've worked to try to avoid in the future. And I know that causes heartburn for people. And we have found out, after talking to renters like yourself, that, I paid for this. I didn't know Repower existed. Now I found it and it's great. I just wish I could have learned about it without, getting burned first, so to speak. And so we're actively working to put controls in place that would reduce that, if not eliminate it entirely.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I do have friends that were brokers, and I was like, I don't think it's supposed to go this way. But it's great that you're here, so that I can let them know. I definitely been letting people know about Repower anyway, because it is a very, very user friendly platform. When he says 5 minutes, he's actually being nice. It really took like 2 minutes, once you sign up and do your DOT number. So I love the platform. So yeah, keep doing your thing.
Thanks, Danny. That was great.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you for coming up to ask that question, madam. Thank you. At the end of the day, I just want to say I appreciate you, Jake. Was there anything that you wanted to mention about Repower that we didn't get an opportunity to talk about?
Um, Not anything off the top of my head. Like I said, I'm an open book. My email's out there. I want to learn from you guys, right? Like I've worked for large corporate fleets, doing very white cubicle jobs in logistics, and I always like to learn from those who are entrepreneurs that are boots on the ground, and anything that we can do at Repower to make your experience better, more efficient, more cost effective, like Jory talked about with telematics, being able to leverage some buying power or doing just connections to help your business. I am all ears, and I'm here because the one thing that I like about logistics more than any industry I've worked in is the networking and collaboration of a rising tide raises all boats. And if we can all help each other, it's going to make everybody's experience better. And so that's what I'm here for. If you heard something that you necessarily didn't like or were curious to learn more about, I'm all ears, and to be a collaborative space for us to get better, to make money, and to you know continue to grow.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. Well, look, I truly appreciate you for joining me, and for everybody, I definitely appreciate the support. Definitely tune in on Monday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we partner up with Freightwave Sonar Team to talk about where you should position your trucks to take advantage of the market conditions. We have been we've been changing things up for the last month and a half. I've been joined by some brokers on the Monday morning sessions, and I do like the way that's going. I'll see if we're going to get a broker to come through this Monday to talk about some of their high volume opportunities, but I haven't locked in anything just yet. Next week, I'm going to be talking with what's that, brother? Pro Hall TV. So this young man is a former NFL football player, and he was a tight end for, I think, the Seahawks. But this brother got into trucking years ago, and now he's also creating content around how someone can grow and develop in the industry, whether they own assets or not. So I am excited about this one. So tune in next Wednesday to hear that discussion. And that's pretty much it. Jake, my guy, appreciate you again, and you have a blessed one.
Thanks to everybody who was listening.
Yes, sir.